What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Apex Uncut. We got episode number 6 here with an awesome guest from TSM. We have Snipedown. I'm really excited to get into this one. Of course, thank you for coming on today. So, what's up? How you doing, Snipedown? You excited to be here?
Yeah, I am excited to get some, opinions on the new stuff we got going on. I got some cool announcements that came out, and I think all of us are pretty excited for the future.
That's right. Big ALGS announcements came out today. We're going to be talking about that, the new season coming up with the new Legend as well. But of course, let's go ahead and just start out with you. How did you get into Apex Legends? How'd you get on TSM? What's your whole esports story? Because I know you got a long career.
Oh, geez. You're gonna be here a while if we want to get into the whole story. Yeah, basically, I mean, I started with Halo. I just went to like local tournaments back when that was a thing.
What year are we talking?
This was like 2008 is when I first became a professional.
I was
And
8 years old.
Oh,
it was a while ago. And back in MLG tournaments back in the day, and then basically went through multiple different Halo titles. And then Apex was coming out, and Halo was in kind of a stale state. It was kind of, nothing new was coming out. Everyone was looking for something to do, something to play. People were playing Fortnite. People were playing Call of Duty games. And one of my good friends, Ghost Ayami, who worked at 343, the Halo studio, went to work with EA at Respawn. And he basically told me about Apex and was basically just telling me that, I trust him, and he was like, this game's got the juice, is what he called it. And he said that it's going to have a big future. It's going to be really fun. The gameplay is smooth. The movement, everything about it is something that I'm going to like. And, I didn't really like too many FPS shooters at that point in time that were outside of Halo. I thought Call of Duty was too quick time to kill. And it was kind of cheesy. And then Apex came out, fell in love with it. And I got an opportunity to go to X Games, became a professional at that tournament, and then was just kind of looking for my entry into, I guess, the top Apex scene after that. I was kind of a floater for a while. I was always on different teams, was constantly on different teams, to be fair. My team originally at X Games went back to their two teammates from Finland, and then I went team with like Frex, Grego, team BCJ, Dolphin, like all over the place. And eventually I ended up getting an opportunity to team with Rogue, which was dropped, and Sweet Dreams, and that organization didn't end up signing me. We couldn't come to agreement, and I eventually ended up working out in my favor because I was not held down by a contract. And then TSM was having some issues. Hal approached me and asked me to join the team, and it was just pretty smooth. It was an amazing opportunity. I never really thought I'd be in that position, switching games, and especially to a BR type of game, which I had never competed in. I never played battle royales before, and it was just crazy how it worked out. And I'm feel very blessed to be in the position I am.
that's awesome. So, you started in 2008, and you played Halo all the way up until Apex?
Yeah, I basically started playing Halo in 2002. Is when I
Jeez.
first started playing Halo and getting into gaming, and
That's
that's
insane.
before I think some people might even have been born who watch this.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so been around a while. I've seen all the Halo titles, Halo 1 through Halo 5. There were a couple in between, and yeah, I mean, I love what
What
I do, and
was
I'm gonna keep
like
doing it.
what was the life of an esports pro back then in like 2008 and 2012?
Or
Well, it wasn't a career at the time, that's for sure. Like, I mean, I was still in high school. I went to college throughout all my Halo career. It was a passion that you could go and make money at tournaments if you win. And it was like, you win a tournament where there's like 5 tournaments a year, and the tournament first place was like $20,000, and you're splitting that within 4 people, and that was like huge money, big time back in the day. Streaming wasn't a thing, so you couldn't make money that way. YouTube wasn't really a thing. You couldn't like just post videos. If I could go back, I would definitely be on more of the content train back in the day, because it did blow up eventually, clearly. But Halo was really just a game that people wanted to prove that they were the best at. I mean, I just had a lot of people in my ear telling me I couldn't do it, and I wanted to go to tournaments to prove them wrong. And I think that's kind of why I've stayed so passionate about competing and gaming, is because I've always just wanted to prove things rather than like win the money. Like that, the money is always like on the side, and it's always like a bonus for the hard work that you put in. And I think the win is like the clear goal.
Yeah. And I think most top competitors would agree with that, right? I mean, if you're chasing the money, you're not really focused
that's
on the goal
that's
of
how it
winning.
goes at the entry level for like I don't want to say everything in life, but almost everything competitive. I mean, business, content creation, normal sports, esports, entry level esports or entry level like content creation. No offense, but you're not going to go anywhere if you're going into it going like, I'm going to make good money out of this. You are not going to go anywhere, man. There has to be a huge flame inside of you. Like, you have to love what you do to really put in the hours to like earn your place in, let's say, a content creation scene or a esports scene. Now, of course, there are outliers, and sometimes people blow up overnight. Yada yada yada. I totally understand that, but you really gotta put in the work.
For sure. So moving on now, let's talk a little bit more about like current date things and stuff you've done in Apex, right? You've won over $100,000 in earnings, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. How much did you win back then compared to that, right? Is it even close?
Yeah, I mean, I I didn't even realize I had won that much in Apex. To be completely honest with you, that's pretty cool to hear. But
Horrible.
back in Halo, I want to say like, I mean, there's a website that can show you like your total earnings. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's like an esports earnings website that'll show you. And I think over like the 8 years or so, or 10 years that I was competing in Halo, probably somewhere around like 400,000, somewhere around there. I think the
I
most I
just
ever
pulled you
won.
up, and
Did you?
esports earnings says you have $386,000 in earnings in esports.
Okay. Oh, there you go. I think it's a little delayed on the
Yeah, some
inputs.
of it might
I
not be
think,
all tracked,
yeah.
but
I know a lot of it hasn't, and then that's not including like what you get from organizations, sponsored deals, all
Monsters.
that
of
kind of
course,
stuff. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot more that goes into it, and I think that's one of the biggest things as being a pro gamer. Like, you can't rely on winnings to be your source of income. Like, you are going to be stressed out of your mind if your whole like if you're paying for things or whatever it is based off of winning tournaments, because like you can't guarantee a win, and you need to find other avenues, which is the sponsors, the organizations, working your way up, building your profiles. And I think that's like that should be the end goal, is like being a well-rounded content based professional. And I think that's something
Absolutely.
that is a goal.
I think all three of us could agree on that, and most pros. I just want to say though, man, 39 first places. Holy crap, bro. And that's just on here. I'm sure there's some missing. That's insane. You're definitely a veteran in the esports industry. But let's focus more on Apex Legends now, right? So we just got a huge announcement with the ALGS. There's going to be 3 big LANs coming up in year 2. That's some exciting news. There's going to be a pro league which will feature 40 teams in each region. You guys both compete in the NA region. I'm sure you guys will probably be invited. So what do you guys think about the big announcement coming out?
Go ahead.
I'm actually just gonna bring it up right now for my screen so I don't say any wrong numbers or anything. What I'm doing.
True.
For starters, I'm really excited. Obviously, this is something all of us, including Snipedown, including you, because you have an org, you have rosters in this game. We've all been looking forward to this. While I'll be honest, I don't think the orgs under NDA with them actually knew the whole rundown. Maybe they did. I guess Snipe can't tell us, but I can personally
Yeah, I don't
say
know.
that I had no idea this was coming. I had no fucking clue this was coming. So, and from the pro group chat that we have, it seemed like nobody knew it was coming like this big. And after 2 years of Apex, I'm used to like being underwhelmed by like patches or updates or announcements or and whatever. That's no big deal. Like that's just the way it is. And video games are super hard to code, and there's so much that goes into it. So I'm not gonna like sit here and harp on them, but I was prepared for like at maximum one LAN, and I was prepared for like a similar size prize pool, and then the LAN was gonna be a lot of money. That's what I was, I guess, prepared for. And this was crazy for me. I woke up like an hour ago and I looked at this announcement and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like they're really going big, and I'm super excited, looking forward to the future.
What do you think, Snipe?
I was expecting like 2 lands, or hoping for about around 2 lands. So seeing 3, and then that the prize pool is spread out. And it says $5 million prize pool. I think it was like 1 million, 1.5 million, and then 2.5 million, something like that. Which is really cool. I think that the scheduling, it looks good. I think it keeps like the hype build up, because it like when I'm looking, it's September to October preseason quals, October to December, October to December. There's a lot there's not much downtime,
Which is great.
Which is good. It's good. You don't want like 2-3 months in between big tournaments because that just kills all the hype that was built up, the storylines that were built up, and it's kind of like, oh, we have a major, and then 2-3 weeks later, it's like we're back in it for the next season or next tournaments, and I think that we'll keep the storylines going. I think I think Apex is starting to have really interesting storylines. They're starting to become like at the beginning of the game, everyone's all buddy and everyone's all friendships and all that, and then we're getting to the point now where it's like there's starting to become some rivalries. There's starting to some drama in between some teams and players, and I think that kind of stuff is honestly like really healthy for a scene to grow and build. And I think it really makes people want to start following individuals instead of like people being like, oh, I'm a TSM fan, or oh, I'm a CLG or C9 fan, whatever it is. And I always think that's super healthy for a game's like organic growth. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It looks really promising. So
That's awesome. I love that you bring storylines up because as a viewer, I mean, that's what really gets you attached, right? If there's no big storyline to follow, you kind of lose interest. So I completely agree with that point. That's awesome. I'm excited, 3 lands to travel to, in-person events. It seems like it's been forever since we've been able to do anything like that. So I can't wait, and as players, I mean, I've played on a LAN myself, so I know you guys are going to be very busy grinding for that and excited to compete.
Dude, for some like weird reason, I feel like a lot of players who don't get nerves at LAN, including myself, because I've played at LAN before, I feel like a lot of players are about to have nerves at this upcoming first LAN, just because it's like first LAN back from COVID. I mean, half of us fucking sit inside 18 hours a day. Outside of some people like Snipe, he leaves his house and does shit. But I don't know why, but I feel like the nerves might be a little bit higher. The stakes are a little bit raised for this first upcoming LAN. I mean, no tournaments to prove who the best teams in the world are now. What region is going to dominate which regions? Like, there is a lot. There is a lot on this first LAN. I'm so scared and excited. It is fucking awesome, bro. That's going to keep me up tonight.
I'm super anxious as well. And it's like, I'm used to going to tournaments. Like, he said I had 39 first places, and that's only the first places. I've been to like 100 tournaments. And so I'm used to going to like 5-10 tournaments a year at this point. And, I haven't been to a LAN in 2 years, it feels like, at this point, since Poland. That was the last one I went to. And that was like one of the worst experiences I've had because my PC crashed, and I basically went to a European tournament my PC crashed the final game to make it to finals, and we were like 4 points away from qualifying. And basically I was the Watson player, and back then if you don't have a Watson, like you're just dead. Like you can't hold a building, you can't hold anything. And it was just one of the most like demoralizing tournaments I've been to.
What's like
in
that situation, what's the response from like the admins there? Like, is it just tough
luck? Had nothing in place. Yeah, it was literally like it was their PC that was provided to me that crashed, and it was like a minute and a half into the game. Like, no one was dead. It was 60 players still up. No one fought. And my PC just crashes, and there's no reconnect feature back then. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm calling over admins, and they're just like, well, sorry. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm freaking out.
Rough.
And then like I have like the head of the competitive like scene at Respawn come up to me, and he's like, hey, I want to apologize and do this. I'm like, listen, if all you're gonna tell me is that you're sorry, like, I don't even want to talk about it, because like nothing's getting fixed, and you need to figure out some rule to set in place for future tournaments, because this is complete bullshit.
100%.
So I was like, I don't want to hear an apology if that's all you have.
Was that like something that kept reoccurring, where players just crashing a lot, or was that like
that happened a lot at that tournament? After it happened to me, I'm pretty sure it happened like a good amount after that, and it 100% had to do with the fact that every booth was like 100 degrees. These PCs were overheating. There's no doubt about it. Like, I mean, Mac had a rag on his forehead because of how hot he was. Like,
I heard he had like a fever as well. Is that true?
Yeah, a high fever. That dude was fucking.
That's insane, and they won. That's incredible. Yeah. Jeez, that's crazy though. 100 degrees in the booth, computers crashing.
It was ridiculous.
I remember. I think I've already said this on the podcast, but on the finals day, we played so many hours of Apex. Right now, like every day, we play a lot of Apex. Snipe can relate. Like I will throw up a 15-hour stream, bro, and I'll be fine. But it's much different when I'm playing like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours of ranked versus 11 hours of competitive.
Yeah.
Shit. At the end of the finals in Poland, I walked out of my booth, bro, and I had like I don't know what they're called. There's a name for them, but I was seeing like permanent purple rings in my eyes. No matter like where I looked, I could see the purple rings, and it was from me staring at my monitor for so long.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
god.
like being so, I was fucking. It was fucked, bro. I was fucked up. But they went away after like a couple hours and felt better. But
A couple
he's
hours.
totally right. The setting of Poland was fucking awesome. The air conditioning, not awesome. The booth,
Yeah.
the setup, absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, so perfect. The PCs were more than good enough. It was very fucking hot. Very fucking hot.
Damn.
And like Snipe brought up the reconnect feature, and you asked like, was that a recurring issue? It was. The reconnect feature wasn't added for a very long time after that, and like crashing in tournaments was very common, especially because 99% of shit after that was online.
Yeah. And on top of like the reconnect feature, I think something else that they could add is like an admin pause feature. Because like if there is, and that's actually kind of tricky. That's kind of tricky to do because if you can't pause a game if there's in the middle of a fight, that kind of thing. So I guess that, I don't know, maybe that's not a good idea because it's one of those, you can't pause a game if two teams are in the middle of a fight. If someone just disconnects, you have to just kind of hope you can reconnect. That gets tricky at that point.
That like,
But
totally plays with momentum and some.
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
That's an important feature, though, reconnect. I know Fortnite still doesn't
It
have
is.
that. I know there's players disconnecting in grand finals all the time, losing thousands of dollars. So that's good they implemented that.
Sucks.
You guys think for the LGS is coming up next year, they'll have a air conditioner?
I think they might take that into consideration.
I think a big deal to do with that whole thing being so goddamn hot was like the venue itself. I mean, like a lot of time these LANs are probably going to be more at like stadiums, I'm guessing in the future, but I don't know. And just the ventilation, everything might be a little bit better, a little bit different. I could be wrong, obviously, but I just think it had a lot to do with the venue.
I've played in, okay, so like it was a completely different setting than I'm used to playing in because when it comes to Halo, it's just 4v4. Like it's just open, like 4 systems next to each other, and you're spread out in a line across from each other, and it's like open convention center. You know, it's usually really cold, and the setting in Poland was like booths stacked on top of booths. So like you are trapped in this booth of just heat from the PCs, heat from like no ventilation coming inside the booths, no fans inside the booth, nothing. And so like you're just trapped with heat, sweat and everything. And I'm not used to a closed scenario. The only thing that I've been remotely similar is like X Games, Halo, when I was in soundproof booths. And that was about as close as I've been to that. But they even had AC like running into those to make sure that things weren't going to overheat, etc. So I think that was like maybe a learning experience because if you look at X Games, I mean, X Games was all open. Like there was not really an issue with any of that because it was like you had like a breeze, you had everything. Like it was totally fine. So I think going forward, I hope they move away from like enclosed booths on top of other booths. I mean, at the same time though, like that was arguably one of the coolest venues I've ever been to in competing.
Oh,
like
100%.
it was sick. I'm pretty sure Alien versus Predator was like filmed there or something.
Yeah,
it was super cool.
Oh,
I think that I think I really liked it. I think do it again. Just throw like 2 fucking fans in every booth, bro, and we'll be fine. I swear. Just give us like 2 fans to throw on that 3-notch like max juicer, and just we'd be fine. We'd be fine. If that's our only complaint, it really isn't the end of the world. Overall, that LAN was fucking amazing. It was hilarious though because between the main stage and the side stage, there was a little outside area, and like it was the funniest shit because after your bracket, like vast majority of people would go talk to their team or whatever outside, and I'll never forget it, man. It was like high school, though, like middle school, like going to lunch. It was like the whole crowd just instantly wanted to get outside. Yeah. Walk out there, all the teams talking. Hella EU people just.
What was the crowd like at that venue? How many people would you say were there watching?
Small crowd, but they didn't have many seats anyway.
I want to say there was like 300 people. Like there was about 300 seats around there in the crowd. I want to like each row had about 15, 20 seats, and there were 2 rows about 12 rows back or something like that, maybe more than that. It was decent.
All right, cool. Well, let's focus on next year now. These LANs coming up, right? I know you guys were talking before we started this on how NA was probably going to dominate, or at least EMEA too. So what do you guys think about those other regions that are going to be invited? Will they be able to perform?
I'll let you go first because I'm already public enemy number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more well-rounded talent outside of NA, but I think NA's like top is higher than other regions. I have not been able to watch enough of like the T1s in that region to really have a good understanding. So I mean, I can't. Their aim is just absolutely unreal. So I mean, I don't have a good sense of their actual BR game sense in comparison. But like when I compare NA and EU, I mean, I think EU has better all around teams. But I think NA just has a higher like overall team skill. And then honestly, outside of outside of our regions, I don't think that those other regions will see too many of those teams in the top. I think it'll mostly be filled with like honestly, it's going to be kind of like the Poland finish was, where it's the couple teams like what was it, T1? Who was the other? Who was
like
the other?
Tigers
And then it was like all EU and then a couple NA. Like it was.
it might have been Wyvern. I don't even.
I think Wyvern. I think it was Wyvern. And
there was like 4 teams in the top. There was like 4 teams in the top 10 that weren't NA or EU. I'm pretty sure. Maybe less. Maybe less.
That's good. I mean, technically, that's more than NA and EU.
I think less, but not certain.
Yeah. But I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to find out. I definitely think it's NA and EU dominant right now.
All right, mine is gonna be pretty much the same thing, but in a little bit more flame.
There we go.
I don't know how to describe it like that, but I look at these other regions and I do not watch them as much as I watch my own region or the EU region. But a few times that I have watched them and their ALGS games, like their finals or whatever, it just seems like their games are not as structured as NA or EU. So like it seems like while those players might individually be the best players in the world, and I truly kind of believe that, it doesn't matter, because being the best in the world, like mechanically, can only get you so far in a team game where you're only as good as your weakest link, and your positioning matters just so much. You could be against the worst controller player in the game and be the best MNK player in the game, but if you're on a bad angle, you're fucked. End of story, right? I guess it doesn't even have to be a controller player. It could be even a mediocre MNK player, right? You're just fucked either way. So that being said, I think the lack of structure in the other regions, mainly because they aren't competitive, in my opinion. I think there aren't a lot of good teams in those regions. So the good teams are really good, and the bad teams are really bad, which means the good teams that are really good can get away with a lot. They never really get like evened out, and like, I think you see a lot more of that in EU than you do in NA, because I think NA is super top heavy as well. But I think NA is starting to even out. I think one of the many reasons that EU is a little bit more even than NA, I think the skill in EU is kind of similar to NA. I just think EU overdoes it with the comps. I think they overthink a lot of comps. They try to make a lot of different things work instead of just keeping it simple, keeping it to the meta. I think you'd see I think EU and NA would look exactly alike if EU and NA played the same fucking shit. Personally, but I could be wrong. That's why I think NA and EU are the best regions right now. I think they will dominate the upcoming LAN. I do think NA will do better than EU. I think NA's top teams will do better than EU's top teams, but I think the average EU team will do better than the average NA team. That's just how I feel about it.
Awesome. I mean, it's fun speculation, right? Because now next year we're going to be able to see 3 different times, right? Instead of just going all the way back to Poland 2 years ago.
Oh my god, bro! I cannot give this man his 40th first place. Oh my god.
So that'd
be a good one.
That would be a good one.
We'll
have a boxing match.
Yeah, boxing match. There we go. That'd be a highlight. I'm sure a lot of the viewers would want to see that.
I need these hands.
So we talked a lot about the future. Let's talk a little bit more about it, but also let's talk about TSM and Snipedown, right? Like Zach just said, you have so many first place wins. You guys have been dominant for so long here in NA. Going back to the ALGS though, right? A lot of teams are expecting you to win, a lot of the viewers, and you guys were in a really good position to win. From your perspective, what do you think kind of... What's so funny, Zach? What's so funny?
I know what you're about to say, and there's only one real answer that Snipe can say, but I don't think he'll say it. Just finish.
I'm interested in what you think he's going to say.
You're talking about the game up the hill.
No, in general, I was going to talk about just what happened. What led to you guys not getting that final win?
I think our biggest thing is we got 49 points, and that was kind of a curse. Like when we hit 49 points, we were so focused on getting the 1 point that we weren't focused on playing the game the best way possible. We were focused on getting a kill or getting a placement point instead of doing things that were best for us. And I think that the format really leads to different play styles. You have to focus so much on points, and then you're focused on getting griefed. I think changes need to be made to the format or like to the game with the anonymous system to where like you can't just like in any other game, teams focusing one specific team is cheating. Like you can't collude. And it's not like these teams are communicating with each other to collude, but like you see TSM in the kill feed at 50 points and 3 teams are all focused on them and forgetting about every other team in the game. And it's like, I think that needs to be fixed so they can avoid that kind of issue or that kind of, something coming up in that sense. But I think for us, like we didn't play our own game and then like we had our chance to win on the game up the hill. And we kind of just didn't make the best game plan together. We had different ideas. We made some mistakes, and after that, I mean, we were focused after that on we realized that we're not going to be able to just have a chance to win every game, and we need to just collect points and just focus on getting as many points as we possibly can. And if we get the win, we get the win. But obviously, like placing high is the number one priority. You want to win, but at the end of the day, like you don't want to also fall out of the top 3 by only focusing on win and not getting kills and not taking opportunities because you're scared. And I think like for us, I'm actually really proud of some of the things that we did. Like we tried Valk, Caustic, and Octane, I want to say, or Valk, Caustic, and Wraith. Honestly, dude, if we had a beacon on either of those 2 games, we get amazing positioning. Like the game that ended at near sorting at that the hill that leads into.
That was the game that we won.
Yes,
we held you guys in the vault tunnel.
Yes, and if we had beacon, I had ult excels, and we would have ulted directly to that spot with Caustic and Valk, and not a single team would have known that that was us. Like no one would have been like, "Oh, that's TSM playing Valk Caustic." Like there's no chance, and we would have just camped, and it literally ended there, and we would have had a really good chance of winning. And I'm proud of us for taking that kind of risk. I think we're one of the few teams that would have been willing to do something like that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we lost our chance to win, but I'm still, we still got 3rd place, so not too upset about it.
Yeah, of course. It was an incredible performance by both of you guys, both your teams, obviously. I was just wondering, because, like, yeah, you guys did make a lot of changes, right? You just mentioned the change you made. That is respectable. How come you guys went back? How come you didn't stick with the Valk and the Caustic for most of the games?
We wanted the points, and we didn't want to just focus on only the win anymore. We literally talked about that before the tournament. We were like, we want to do this for like 1 game. And we ended up trying it for 2 games, but it's just so unfortunate that we have a spawn that we get a beacon like 90% of the time, and the 2 games that we play Valk, we don't get a beacon on either of them, and it's like both of those would have been solid zones for us. So that was really unfortunate, but I mean that's BRs. Like, what are you can't predict that kind of stuff. So
I mean, BR is just such a different esport, right? It's so crazy compared to anything you guys have played before. And like that moment where, that game on the hill or any other game where you're on match point and you're about to win. Like I can only imagine like the nerves and just everything going on in your mind, because there's not really another esport where like, if you win right here, it's over, right? Or like NBA with LeBron James, he takes a shot, right? He can end the game if there's only 3 seconds left.
It doesn't go through your mind like that. It doesn't work like that. You cannot relate unless you can literally put yourself in the shoes. There is no like, oh, I can see where that guy's got. There is none of that in this type of situation. Match point format, when you hit it and you're one of the few teams there, and like for example, the one game that we could have ended. Actually, we had multiple games we could have ended. We threw the one where TSM should have won that one game. We had a game on the bridge that we should have won. When you get in that like top 3 scenario and you have a good chance at winning and ending the tournament, man, you're not even thinking about that. For the past 20 minutes, you're not thinking about that. Like, there's no nerves, there's no shaky, there's no nothing. It's like, I don't know like the saying or whatever. It's like the calm storm or whatever. Like, yeah, like you're just so calm and like locked in because you do this every day. This is your job. You play really high stakes tournaments all the time. Like there is no like nerves because you can end it. The nerves hit once you end it. The second that fucking game ends, bro, it's like your whole brain turns off and you just celebrate, and sometimes you'll cry, sometimes you'll scream, sometimes you never know. But like that's when it hits you. There's nothing end game.
I won't lie, man. When I saw you guys pushing Sentinels at the top of the hill when we were down low, I thought we won the tournament.
I thought we won the tournament. We've talked about that on here before, so I won't go off for another 20 minutes and talk about that. But dude, you guys are lucky I'm fucking stupid. That's all I'm
Dude,
saying.
yeah, well, I know you're stupid when I saw you take a jump pad over both teams and not do anything. I was like, what?
Well, I just
saw,
tried to land there and like,
dude,
crash and,
I
like,
literally thought to myself, I was like, is Zach taking this pad because he realized it's Sentinels and he's just like, no, I'm dying. I'm not fucking helping TSM win this game. I was
it
like,
was partially that, and it was partially like I have to play for the win. So what am I
Yeah.
gonna do if I should be like? It's better for me to pass fucking vertically.
dude, I was
than,
like, Zach's throwing on purpose. This is a joke.
No, I'm just fucking stupid, bro.
Dude, I was
that
like, what
ended
was
so
this?
wrong.
And then I
So
look, Sentinels
I
just
was
full health and
so
dude.
furious at myself, man.
Yeah.
Like we had a better chance of winning that game than even the fucking bridge game that I set us up for. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you ever watched it back or saw. I don't even know if you were the one that shot me or Hal. I think it was Hal, but I like overextended and got 190'd, and that's when you guys started walking up.
Oh
But,
no, I think I shot you. I think I'm the one that shot you.
You might have shot me then. I
Yeah.
don't know who it was, but someone like 190'd me, and that's why we burned our dome and everything, and it fell apart so quick. But we had 2 arcs, 2 thermites, and like you guys had that little
We had, like,
nut
nothing,
right as
yeah.
zone. So if I just started dating you guys out, you guys would have had to go Sentinel's way. Like we could have
Yeah.
easily forced you that direction with 2 thermites and 2 arcs. And dude, I just turned my brain off and went and overextended my entire body over the hill. It wasn't like, oh, I showed my head or oh, I showed an elbow. I went and just pulled up so stupid and threw that guy. I was so pissed off. But anyway, we'll move on to something else. We've talked about that before. I could talk about it all day because that's my own mistake and it haunts me for sure.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the whole situation. The one situation I look back on, and I'm like, that was it. That was our chance.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I just had a curse, right? I fucking misplayed and threw that game, and we had a really good chance to win it, and then I handed it to reps.
Yeah,
Happens.
right.
Happens. But hey,
Yeah,
we
I
both
mean,
did
there's
really
so many
good, so.
games you play, right? And you're bound to have a mistake here or there.
Oh, one thing
Dude.
I did want to bring up is you talked about how you guys were gonna play for the win instead of points. Going into that tournament, something that me, Noct, and Naughty and PvP talked about was how I emphasized and I talked to my team because I was like, I don't know if you guys will like this, but I don't care to win today. I don't. I just want to put up the most points. Nothing matters to me more than put up the most points and show the best showing. Because winning these match point tournaments, no offense to Kangarn or anything, but you can literally qual on like game 7, win the tournament game 8. And that is like good for you. I'm happy
Pretty
for
sure
you.
they had 50 points when they won. Like, I'm pretty sure they. Yeah.
But like that doesn't like show you're the best team or you're a top contending team. You're a great team. That just means you happen to make the cut because of the format, right? Obviously, it's not easy to win a game in Apex, so there's definitely some skill and some stuff there to it. But I remember talking a couple days before the tournament saying like we're only going to play for points. Like if we're in a winning spot and we can play for the win, like we will. And that was a big difference between like my team and your team, for example, where you guys were like able to take risks and like or so prioritize the win by pulling out the caustic or the Valk or whatever it may have been, right? I was too scared to do that. I just thought I kind of didn't think it was worth it. To be honest, I didn't really think it was worth it. I felt like falling behind and like taking like 4th, 5th or something versus like strictly playing for the dub once hitting that mark was just it was too intimidating. It was too scary.
It was a big fall off on prize pool for sure.
Yeah, huge
It
fall
was.
from prize pool. And that's why we didn't do it. But hats off to you guys for like feeling like you could adapt on that level. That's
Well, we said we
brave.
literally said if we get to game point like before any other team, then we want to try it because it's like it's worth it to try it for one game if we get to game point early, and then we just it just didn't work out. But I think honestly, I look back and I still think it was a good effort, like for us to try it for one game if we hit 50 points before any other team, which we did. So
yeah, I think switching up your comp if you're okay. So I guess I haven't talked to anyone about this, but I think if you're one of 2 or 3 teams in the top 3 and you're like way ahead, kind of like how me and you guys were towards the beginning of the tournament, I think you have to change your comp. I don't think you get a choice because in those end games, like for example, in the end game that I threw that we just talked about, like compositions determine everything. Like you may think someone's on this side of the map or someone's on this side of the map, but the second you look at their comp, you're gonna second guess your shit. Like if you see C9 running fucking like Caustic Crypto, you're gonna be like, wait a minute. And then you look to your right, and then you see Bloodhound Gibby Octane, you're gonna be like, wait a minute. And you might second guess yourself and throw the whole tournament and give us a free win. I think in those top 2 scenarios or top 3 scenarios, when you're one of those few teams, you kind of have to change your comp just because how hard it is to win when all those teams are not colluding, but focusing you, like you said. I think that there's some logic behind that.
using the game to their advantage, right? Definitely something that I think we could all agree should be changed. I like the match point format overall, but there needs to be tweaks to make it more fair for the players in game, right? So moving on, I mean, we could jump into some community questions unless you guys have anything you want to talk about.
I kind of want to talk about the LGS shit a little bit more. We
Yeah,
really
let's do
didn't
it.
go too in depth on it. We just kind of talked about the broad. I don't know how deep you looked into it, Snipe. I got it up on my other monitor here.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that you're one of the teams directly invited. As far as I know, am not. I'm not gonna like leak anything or talk about it because I really don't know what's true and what isn't true. But the quals are really soon. The quals are September 11th and September 25th. So the first two. So those are coming up really soon, which is fucking hype. I think it's awesome. I think it's super, super, super awesome that console players are now allowed to participate in ALGS. However, I think there needs to be some very obvious things that lock your aim assist to 0.4 in custom lobby.
There is. I'm pretty sure they already announced it.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, I hope, because I really hope it isn't just the setting, because I noticed there's a setting now on console that allows you to change your aim assist from console level to PC when you play on console.
I'm pretty sure, like,
praying to God that
the
admins of the lobby can just set the global aim assist to this level so that no one has to worry about someone changing it mid-game or yada, 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 changing it for an end game, and then you just get fucking cheated on or whatever, you know. I really hope that is something we don't have to worry about, but I'm very excited that console gets to participate. I think that's really good for the game.
100%. There's definitely going to be more teams competing in the open and qualifier stages for sure.
Yeah, it should be fun. I know I'm going to have to play through the open stage, so I'm actually really excited for it. I think that gives a lot of time for my team to grow, learn, prove ourselves, build some hype around our name now that we have a brand new shit. I'm really excited. Next, you got like the pro splits. I don't think Snipe can hear me right now. I don't really care. They're taking it into more of like actually, I'm gonna let him put his earbuds back in for this one. I'm sure I'll have an opinion. Yeah, so I wanted to wait for you for this one. I think this is really awesome. We've been complaining, but it hasn't been a priority that like the Apex scene does not have a divided tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever. Because right now in the Apex scene, like a lot of the times it's the tier 3s that grief the tier 1s. So having them split up is really, really, really convenient. It's nice. I think it's normal for esports. I think it's fair. You don't have like college NHL teams playing or college hockey teams playing the NHL teams in the playoffs or whatever, you know, like that's just, I don't know. That's just kind of how I view it. But I think it's awesome that they're introducing this pro league and then like the challenger circuit. I think it's awesome that they're giving people the opportunity to like move up and move down if you suck. I think that's good. I think that's healthy for practice. I think that's healthy for NA scrims. I think yeah, I just think it's really healthy. I'm excited for that.
No, I think for the whole like controller thing again, I'm pretty sure like there's no way that they're gonna let them play with 0.6. I'm pretty sure it's like as soon as they join a custom lobby, it's gonna be like force 0.4. Like all around.
I hope, because nothing would be worse than like have to play 0.4. Like
yeah, no, I mean imagine I just like if that's the case, I'm about to just buy an Xbox and just start playing 120 FPS. And just
I would get Naughty to do the same. Fuck, I would get Alb to do it. I would get Alb to do it too.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I mean there's no way. I don't see that happening. But
you never know. Yeah.
No, they'll definitely put something in place to prevent it. I mean, who knows if some controller player will go out and try to find a way around it, right? That's a different story. But I'm sure they'll have something like set in place that will more than likely prevent it in any way.
Yeah, and then you got the first playoffs, which is like, I mean, coming up like what, relatively soon. What is that, January, I think? First playoffs?
Yeah, January.
That's $1 million. That's a lot of fucking money.
January, yeah.
That's fucking crazy, bro. That is fucking crazy. That is 5 months away, Snipe.
All right, so where do you want these lands to be at?
Oh, dude, that's fucked up! Because if they watch these videos, by the way, like the dev team, a lot of them do. So like if we say a place and they're like, oh, that's just not gonna happen, then we kind of look like dickbags, even though I already
I mean, I feel like it's just like if there's a land, like if you want to go somewhere.
Okay, I'll give three. I would love number rank 1, and it's not even close. It'd be like if I could number them, it'd be like 1 and then 5, 6, because like the 1 through 4 are all South Korea for me. I don't know why. I really want to go to South Korea. I think it's an awesome esports hub. I just really want to go there and do esports shit. Okay, and then second, I've been everywhere in the U.S., so I'm gonna try to avoid the U.S.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything US.
Oh fuck, bro. I don't. Oh, it's storming outside. I don't know the world that well, but first South Korea for sure. Second, I'm gonna do definitely somewhere in Europe, preferably like Sweden or
I was literally gonna say Sweden. I was gonna say
Yeah.
like Sweden or like Switzerland or something.
yeah, one of those top 3 Johnsons. You know what are those?
Yeah.
What are those called? The Norwegian? Or
I did
something
a
like
LAN
that. I
in
don't know.
Sweden. They're big on esports.
Yeah,
I
wanna
would love to go to Sweden. That'd be sick.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That'd be
Yeah.
so sick, bro. Okay, so South Korea, Sweden, and then if I had to pick one more, I mean, fuck, bro. It's hard because I don't know a lot of the world. So, but I'm gonna just go with it because I know they have a lot of money and there might be a lot of unfound passion there. I'm gonna say India or Dubai, or because I feel like
Dubai. That'd be
I feel
sick.
like there's a lot of like.
I think he froze.
He did
I was
freeze. He
personally
just-
going to say Dubai as well. Dubai would be sick.
Does Dubai do like esports at all?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of esports money in the Middle East.
Oh wait, I'm thinking about. I think there was like a rainbow tournament or something, not that long ago, at Dubai. Maybe it was not rainbow. I know there was like PUBG. Maybe there was something that was over there in Dubai.
Yeah,
I think it was a PUBG mobile tournament actually. But
It
even
might have
still, like it
been.
would be sick. I think it was because I played. I did like a sponsored gig for PUBG Mobile at one point in time, and I was playing with a guy. Hot Jukes was his name. And I think he was telling me about how big PUBG Mobile was, and I didn't believe him at all. And then he was like, "Yeah, we just got back from like a $250,000 tournament in Dubai." I was like, "Excuse me?
yeah.
You did what?" He's like, "Yeah, it's huge." And then
I know
just started-
TSM actually signed I think from India, a team in PUBG Mobile or some mobiles game. I
Really?
saw it like a month ago. Yeah, no, esports for mobile are huge in Asia. So, yeah, I definitely would believe that happened.
I'd be fine with that. That'd be sick. Just seeing everyone just drive around in like freaking Lambos and stuff. That's what I see in Vegas already, just because they have all these like high profile cars that you can rent out for the day for like 300, 500 bucks or whatever it is. I see Lambos and Ferraris all over the place.
So you're in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas. I'm like
I
right by
think
the
that'd be
strip.
dope for a LAN event too.
I've done a couple lands here in Vegas. It's fun. I mean, it's pretty cool. And they have big venues here. I mean, they have like the Luxor has the esports arena.
That's right. Yeah.
At
I was
it,
actually
so-
going to host a Fortnite LAN with my company BFC on March 12th, 2020, and it got shut down because of COVID.
Oh,
3 days
that's sad.
before.
That's annoying.
It was so sad.
Yeah, that is.
It was gonna be exciting though. Yeah, there's a lot of great spots in Vegas. What places would you say for a big LAN?
I think Sweden or Switzerland was like my first one. I just because of how big like the Japanese community has been and like how supportive they've been of just like me playing in these random Japanese tournaments. I would love to go to like Kyoto or Tokyo or something like that. I think that would be
Yeah.
super cool. And then honestly, just
Fuck.
I mean, Dubai would be super cool. I didn't even really think about that. But I guess probably somewhere else in Europe. So I guess if you wanted to use Sweden and Switzerland as like 1 and 2, that'd be kind of what I'd be.
Here,
I'd
let's
be
restart
definitely
that
down
because
for
when he
that.
disconnected, my overlay got really fucked up.
Okay.
So we'll just continue where he was. So, I mean, what were you even saying? Zach? Were you talking about Dubai? I think, right?
Fuck was I saying, bro?
I think you were
I don't know,
talking
I
about
just got
Dubai.
pissed off. Storm took my ass out. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You can just throw in like a slideshow right there of me just DCing and say tried to pick back up where. But Dubai, yeah, I feel like Dubai or India. I feel like I feel like esports may be really common over there. Maybe it isn't. I don't know, but I feel like maybe it'd be a really good spot that no one's gonna say or no one's gonna think of. I think maybe there's a lot of potential there. I wanna let Snipe talk about this, and then I have a really big topic to talk about, which none of us thought about until now. I'm really excited for this one. But Snipe, what are your dream places?
For where I want to go,
Yeah, for the land.
I was saying Sweden, Switzerland. I would say like if you want to use that as 1 and 2,
That's
I would
one,
be like
bro. That's
just
just
one. Okay,
that's
that's
just-
fine.
come
And then
on, man.
I was saying that just because of like how big the Japanese community is, I would love to go to Kyoto or Tokyo. I think those would be 2 really really cool locations.
That would be
And
insane.
then I've never seen a community that's like as supportive and as like respectful as the Japanese community. Yeah, like it is.
100%.
It's such a cool like feeling that like they don't really even know who I am, and they just come and show so much like respect and support, and they're just incredibly kind. And I think it'd be really cool to take a tournament over there. I mean, I think I've seen like Apex on the big screens in downtown Tokyo, which is like, I mean, the game is massive. So I think that'd be really cool. I bet I can't imagine what the fan base would be like there. I think it would just it would be epic, and that'd be really cool. And then, I mean, I always liked London. When I went to London, I enjoyed it there. I played in a tournament. I don't know exactly. It was not the biggest venue, but I mean, we've stayed right by like the Chelsea FC stadium, and it'd be cool to go to a soccer game as well while I'm out there. So I think I'd be cool with any of those.
Those are some good spots. I'll say one more that nobody mentioned, kind of related to Japan and how the fans would be super excited and hyped. Brazilian esports tournaments go absolutely insane. They go wild, man. I've seen a few. And they'll just start chanting, especially if there's a good Brazilian team they're playing. Oh, my God. It would be wild. So I'd say Brazil would be fun, too.
All right, I put a tweet in the group chat. You can throw it up on the screen.
All that. Yep.
You can throw it up on the screen if you want. We're going to kill a good 20 minutes on this one for sure. So the tweet reads, this is from the head of competitive for Apex. It says, with the ALGS introducing a regional pro league format, in the interest of competitive integrity, each esports org is now able to only field one roster, which means organizations like KNG.
That's right. Yeah, we do have two teams.
It's a pretty shitty scenario.
That is not the best.
Let me finish.
Go
it's
ahead.
really shitty. It's fucking horrible. People are about to lose their jobs who don't necessarily deserve to lose their jobs, who may have lost opportunities at other orgs that because they were signed, those teams picked up different players who may be worse, maybe better, you don't know, right? But it's a really, 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 really shitty scenario. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's an org called like WPAC, or maybe it's a clan, but I think it's an org called WPAC. For sure, they got like 6 fucking teams.
I'm pretty sure Fennel does too. Fennel has so many teams.
Yeah, like 6 teams, like 4 teams. It's like in NA and EU, you see a couple orgs having 2 teams, don't get me wrong, and it really sucks, especially for teams like Kangarna. Like, it puts you guys in a horrible and tough spot. It's unfair to everyone, and it's shitty. It's unfair to you guys, it's unfair to players, but it's the way the world spins. Sometimes people move your hand for you, you know? And this is one of those situations, but it's crazy to me that so many orgs have multiple teams in like those APAC regions. This is a big change. This is a massive change.
Yeah,
have you seen that, TFG? Have you seen that?
So I've known
I'd
about
imagine
it.
they reached out to you in the past.
So internally, our management has talked about it, obviously. We haven't known for too long. I didn't know they were going to announce it today. But, for us, we have 2 really, really good fucking teams, right? I mean, Nessie didn't make it to the championship, unfortunately. But, dude, as a team, they literally have $80,000 in earnings.
I felt so bad for them. I actually felt so bad. Like, they're one of the teams that consistently placed well, always was there practicing, always was there doing well. And, yeah, it's just tough.
No, they deserve it.
100%.
Sure.
I mean, they're great players. They could go win the championship next year. They could win multiple LANs, right? Who knows?
Definitely.
And then we have the NA team that won the championship. So it's so hard of a position to be in.
Yeah, that's not bad.
We're going to figure it out. We'll figure something out. We'll be good.
Yeah, it's a tough spot because you have like a very unproven team who won the championship, and you have a very proven team who didn't
qualify. That's such like qualify. What is the balance?
Yeah, bro.
That's so weird.
No offense, bro, but like, it's a shitty spot. It's a
shitty spot, but it's also a good spot to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also a blessing, I guess, on the other side.
From
it's like
an organization, having 2 really solid teams in 2 different regions who could go and win the next thing. Who knows? Possibly, right? It's a good problem to have, and we'll figure it out. I don't think on our end, I know there might be some other teams who may lose their jobs and stuff, but for both of our teams, I think if one of them, in a situation where one of them got released, they would easily be picked up by another organization. So that's good to know for those guys, but we're internally figuring it out.
I didn't think about it, but they really could have screwed over so many teams. I mean, look at like my team, for example, with like the TSM Snip3down or CLG having complexity on their team, or XZ had complexity on their team for a while. Like, they could have really fucked so many teams if they like had the odd one out rule, but they did not do that. So thank God for that.
Yeah, I was reading in the comments to make sure that wasn't the case, because I was like, well, then Mac's gonna have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not the case. That was fucking crazy though. I cannot I cannot believe that. Let me go open this group chat really quick because the group chat was pointing out all the teams that are going to get affected by it.
Oh yeah, send that over.
Yeah, people were saying KNG. I think Reignite is one. Reignite has like Jen Burton's team and another team. I think Scars has Mandy in them, right? But I think they also have another team. Don't quote me on that.
Do they?
But I could be
I didn't
wrong.
know that.
I think they do have other teams in other APAC regions, but I'm not certain of that.
I will say, though, for Kongarna, I am glad because we were about to sign a few other teams as well. Like, we were about to go all out before the ALGS. But, you know, we did get a tip that, hey, maybe that's not the smartest thing to do long term.
I guess
So we
that's
didn't go for
interesting. I
that.
guess I could talk to you about that. I mean, I don't really understand the business side of esports, and Sniper's going to know a lot more than me just because he's been in it for so long, and he's
I feel like I
smart,
think
right?
like a dev and I have so many thoughts that like when something comes up, I'm like, okay, I think about it from the dev's point of view, or I think about it from the organization's point of view, just because I've been around for so long. I know how they
Yeah.
kind of process things.
Isn't it? It's like it's really smart. It's low key really smart, but it's kind of shitty of an org to pick up like 4 teams or 2 teams even in the same region. But like it's if the org has the capital, like if the org has the money, it's really smart of them to do it because like if you do get lucky, you do get that first place, you're making your org hundreds of thousands of dollars just off your 15%, 20%, right? If you have 4 teams, let's say, and 3 of them place in the top team, you probably are going to make your org a lot more than you're losing just based off the average salary in Apex and what you're spending and like what the average like costs are for like getting those players to LAN, how they qualify. Like I feel like fielding 4 teams right now wouldn't even be a bad idea for certain regions like EU. Maybe not a good idea for NA, but like for EU where the playing field is like super even and kind of anyone can win, like having 4 teams over there could be like a really good business move. But at the same time, if you're a player on an org that has 4 teams, it feels like shit. You feel like your job is threatened 24/7. You feel like at any point, a team that does better than you is now going to replace you. They could drop you the next day. You never know. Like some of that shit's really scary. I want to hear you talk about that because you have your org, you know?
I mean, so obviously if you have 4 teams, I would agree that being a player on that team, it's like, oh man, you know, I don't want to do bad. I don't want this other team to do better than me, you know? For us, if we were to have gotten more teams, they would have been NA teams. And my organization is a little bit different from most traditional orgs. We focus on a little different things. For example, everybody who comes in our org is provided a full-time YouTube manager. This is somebody who's been working in YouTube for well over a year, understands how SEO works, you know, the tags, titles, all that good stuff. They can edit a full video, whether it's highlights, whether it's a content video, a montage. You know, they're well equipped. They're full-time salaried people who are positioned on KNG. And everybody who joins our org gets that, right? So for us, it was never about, hey, let's sign a bunch of people and go win some of that championship money, right? We got pretty lucky, you know, that's awesome. It was a good perk. But for us, it's more about signing the right people, turning them into content creators at the same time while they compete as pros. Because, I mean, myself, right, I started out as a pro. I competed in Overwatch, Paladins, Crossfire at a very high level. And I know that it's hard. It's a struggle, right? Unless you can make it to that top content spot, which, you know, Snipedown's in a pretty good spot. Even you're starting to get to that level where, you know, content's blessing you. So we want to be able to teach that and give that opportunity to our players and put them in a position where they can, in a year from now, know how YouTube works, know how Twitch works instead of, because I mean, even you, Zach, I'm pretty sure you don't know shit about YouTube, right? Most pros don't at all.
Dude.
And a lot goes into it, right? A lot goes into it. And that's something that we've homed on. Personally, you know, I've gotten over 300 million views on my YouTube videos. So that's something I share and give that knowledge to all of my players. So it's more about growing them and benefiting off of content together rather than winning tournament earnings.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. And with Apex,
really good way to grow your org as well.
Yeah. And with Apex for me, when I got into my call with Shaheen at the beginning of May, you know, I got to know all these things that just got announced today, right? I knew this shit was coming. That's the reason why I went in so hard. And I was like, you know, I could get 3-4 teams. It would benefit us because they're going to have a great year coming up next year. They got a lot of stuff planned. Content's booming right now on YouTube. So it's been paying off for us for sure. And that's why I committed into it. And
that makes a lot of sense.
There's been people to say that, oh, you know, there's a lot of orgs coming in now trying to get that championship money. And we kind of got pointed at the time. But I think now with the content we've been doing, obviously the podcast, we're invested in Apex, right? I want to see this game succeed. I like it. I'm excited for the LANs. I'm going to be there. You know, it's going to be fun.
I guess another thing to bring up, I can talk mainly to Snipe about this. We can go back and forth a little bit. We can only speak for NA, but I'd imagine it's popular in every region. That's just the nature of human beings. But sometimes it's not the case because everyone has different values. Apex Legends, especially in NA, the pro side, like ALGS, has not been, to be honest, it's not been very competitive for the past year and a half. It's just been super top heavy, and you can be one of the top teams. And I mean, I guess that we've talked about it on the podcast before, and Hal has talked about it publicly, which makes me feel a little bit more brave about saying these names without feeling like my name is gonna get fucking flamed. But
Dragged.
yeah, there's a lot of teams in NA that really, really, really would rather play with their friends rather the best player, just because they are top teams or like one of the better teams. And I think I think a lot of the orgs haven't cared because I mean there's low ROI from Apex. Like why would they invest so much of their own time as an org to go through all the way of like putting these players in, I guess, hypothetically, a more uncomfortable position, but potentially in a long-term better position where they're investing all this into coaches, analysts, like people who follow the scene to like pick out the right players, yada, 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 form teams, similar to like maybe League of Legends or other esports, right? It just hasn't been a thing because esports have been so bad for Apex. But now with this huge circuit coming up, a lot of potential money to win. Like we talked about it before, like me and you, if we top 3 the next 3 lands, we'll put $500,000 in our bank. Yep. So like you think of a 15-20% from an org, all the tournaments over the next year, that's a ridiculous amount of money that an org could bank. So do you think that orgs are going to start caring more about like their teams? Do you think you're going to see some of those teams get swayed away from it, or not really? You think maybe the bond is too tight, or how do you feel about all that? Because me and Hal have talked about it, and
I think
we really fucking hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan either. I mean, I don't know if I'm like, because I'm older, I'm more like hardened when it comes to this kind of stuff. But when I first started competing, like I competed with my friends and I held on to those teams longer than I probably should have because I liked the people I was teaming with. I was like, yeah, we're good. Like, you know, we can win. Like we have a chance. But I have remained good friends with maybe 10% of my teammates that I've had. Like, and you know, I've been competing for 14 years now, so I mean, that's a lot of people that I've teamed with. I've been on countless teams, and at the time, like your friends, I think. Hold on, you have to put this on pause. I have my 204 years Mara that just got delivered. I don't want to get sent back. Hold on.
That's a dub. I have my 240 hertz Diac monitor here that I use, and God, man, it is so nice. It is so nice. Well, you need a computer that can.
I'm not about to let that sit outside my door.
Oh, I wouldn't either, bro. We were
No.
talking about how I have mine, and it changes your whole game once you can hit that next level.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Smoothness. Have you not? Have you been playing 144 this whole time?
Yeah, I've always been 144.
Oh, bro, you are.
Bro, I've been on console like my whole life. I went from 60 to 144
you gotta
like
send me a Twitch clip or something of your reaction. Like you gotta unbox that and show yourself it in game on stream. Do not do it off stream, because I'm telling you, bro, when I went from 144 being an MK player to 240 on my 3090, dude, I like shit myself. It is the most smooth you ever see the game, and it is like disgusting how smooth it is.
I can't play on 240 though, because controller has like aim, like something's wrong with aim assist if you pass 190.
They fixed it.
I heard they didn't. I've had people telling me like, yes, no, I don't know. Does Naughty play 240?
I don't think Naughty plays uncapped, but now he plays like 190, and I think he only plays 190 instead of 240 because his GPU isn't good enough to 240 consistently.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely
try it on your own. Apparently, it's really obvious.
I'll figure out right away if there's a problem or not. But to go back, I'm excited, dude. I'm super excited. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna eat some food and hop on. Yeah. But yeah, to go back to what we were saying, like, it's a business, bro. This is a business at the end of the day, and you need to look out for yourself and having friends. Like, if they're truly friends, you can stay friends with someone just if you're not teaming, like as long as it's done the right way. And I think a lot of people, like, whether you're on an org or not, like you don't want to kick your friend off of an organization where they have, like a comfortable setup, or, they make money and you don't want to feel like the asshole. But at the end of the day, like, you need to do what's best for yourself and what gives you the best chance of winning, because like, you don't know what's going to happen at the time. Like, yeah, you're really close, but you don't know what's going to happen down the road. And you need to just take advantage of if you're really skillful, take advantage of that and be like, I deserve better. I can play with better people. And this is something that for novice players as well. Like, if you're playing with your friends nonstop and let's say you're a diamond player and you have friends who barely made it to plat, you just, like, if you want to improve and get better, you need to find players who are at your skill level or better than you, or preferably better than you, because then you can learn from them and you can be like, okay, they're doing this, I need to start doing that myself. Because if you're constantly playing with the people at your skill level or lower, you're going to start becoming a worse player overall. It's going to be really hard to improve. And that's something with sports. I mean, you don't want to stay in college your whole life and play with college level talent. You need to go to the professionals and then become a better player from there. And you see that constantly. Like, people who come out of college aren't the best players until they play against people better than them and learn. And I think that's just an important lesson for just being a professional in anything.
Yeah, it's me and Hal talked about it. It's kind of a while ago at this point. It's probably like a month, maybe a tiny bit more than that. All right, talking about it to him in the chat. It's super shitty because there's a lot of good players out there. There's a lot of good players out there that definitely get overlooked because of friendship. I think it's really shitty, and like, knowing how, what's the word? Knowing how easy it is to get to me, I guess, would be the proper wording. That I really am excited for those teams to not do as good as those players that they're deliberately passing up, that they know they could easily replace one of their weaker players for that player. I really hope those other players do better than them and can throw it in their face.
The time will come. I mean, if
yeah,
there's
dude,
teams
that drives me
deliberately
crazy.
not upgrading their rosters, they're going to realize in the long run that it's starting to hurt them. They'll have
Yeah,
to
I
make
feel
the
like
decision
It's
eventually.
on the players too. It's not the organizations.
Yeah, it's
the
the players.
organizations don't have like that information. They don't know. Like, they see
Yeah.
placements and they think of it as like a team effort. They don't know, like, unless it's a game like, Valorant, where it's very clear if someone is tanking in comparison, or like CS or whatever, where you have stats at the end of every game and like you can, like, that kind of stuff. But BRs, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in Apex. Like, you can't see someone's macro, you can't see all this other stuff. And like it's not on the orgs, it's on the players to like just realize that you're not gonna do as well with what skill you have, and it's time to make some changes.
Yeah.
As Apex grows, as orgs start paying higher salaries and investing more into the game, it'll start to become decisions that orgs will make on their own, right? It's just where Apex is right now. I think long term, if Apex can keep this up with a pro league every year and it keeps scaling, it'll get to that point where the orgs will be in control, stuff like that.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, this was an idea I talked about on stream yesterday. I think, it was with my team. I was talking with Naughty and Al after Series E. We were playing ranked, and one of the people in chat brought it up, and they were talking about how like they really like Arena, but I mean, Arena is kind of like Valorant or like CS, and like the way the game plays out, yada yada yada, the buy shop, everything, and how they don't really believe it fits the game as well as something like Hardpoint would. And I was like, whoa. Like, whoa. Imagine, like, in an alternate universe where Apex is like 4v4, 5v5, Hardpoint, you could like franchise that league with the characters and everything. And then, like, at first you're like, wait, there's gonna be broken shit like Horizontal. But if you got 4 people on the ground and you don't break a Horizontal instantly, you just suck, man. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, but what about Fuse? Like, Fuse can only isolate 50 damage per Q. If he throws both on one person, that's only 100 damage. That's not a guaranteed kill. If you swing into him, you might
not always up, really, either.
Yeah,
too,
there's so much that goes into it. I would love to see maybe some LTMs that like involve Hardpoint, like 30v30, or just something for fun. I would love to see Hardpoint come to Apex. Maybe even like swap the Arena game mode later on down the line, years down the line, because it's something to develop or something. I just thought we had that random conversation yesterday. Hardpoint would like fit so well for our game. We thought it'd be so cool.
I'm pretty sure I could look back at tweets of mine from like a year and a half ago, and it would be something very similar of just how Apex has the potential to create like games outside of just the BR. And arenas was something that I even talked about. I was like a team deathmatch or like a King of the Hill, where it's just like you keep spawning and there's weapons placed around the map that you can just like go grab like the weapon racks that are just fully kitted and things like that. Like there's so much possibility, but at the same time, with every character being released, like you really need to find a strong balance. Otherwise, it's just going to be a shit show. And I don't know how much, with some of the other issues that we've seen in Apex, how much like time they have in the studio, how many people they have in the studio to really work on things like that. And I think it's really far down the road for that to
Yeah,
be
it's just
proper.
a fun thought. It's just a fun thought. Maybe
It would
for
be
the viewers
sick.
to think about.
It'd be
I think
sick.
Hardpoint would be so. I mean, imagine like teams making 4v4 plays to break the point, shit, like play time, play your Jippy Bubble just to play time, just to run the clock down. Like there would just be so much more to it than anybody's thinking at like the surface value. I think it'd be so sick.
Yeah, I mean,
We can maybe move
long-term
on.
evolution of Apex, stuff like that's definitely possible. 3-4 years down the road, if Apex stays, relevant, that'd be dope.
They cut back a little bit, so I know we already talked about it, but we'll just go over it one more time before we go into the community questions. First playoffs is in January. That's $1 million. That's a fuck ton of money, but fuck the money. It's all about the bragging rights. It really is. Then you got your next one, which is May, and then the next one, which is July. All right, so the first one's $1 million. The second one in May is 1.5, and then the third one in July is $2 million. Who knows if those prize pools are set at that? Who knows if they could go down or up depending on COVID or whatever it may be. You really don't know. If anything has happened in the past 2 years of Apex, we've learned that nothing is for certain. So there's that. I'm down to move on to some community questions.
Let's do it. I got them open right here. We got a decent amount. This first one says, if you could change the ranked system to be more team-based, how would you change the current RP and KP format?
It needs to be very heavy. It needs to be very, very, very heavy towards placement. Almost
3
no.
kills, 3 KP max. Something like that with placement heavy. KP should still matter, but it should not be uncapped because that's just going to create an infest unranked, and it's going to make it even worse than it already is. I think raising the KP has made ranked honestly worse in a sense because people are just focused on getting kills, and that's why we're seeing more and more rev comp and all that kind of stuff. Rev octane. But I seriously think it should just be more placement heavy at the top, and it should be like a max 3-4 KP. I think that would help. I think that would help people actually play if they're truly wanting to get KP or get Pred Masters. Like you need to figure out how to play BR games the right way and not just run around and third party everything. That's my opinion.
All right. What's your thoughts on living in a team house? I imagine talking face to face is easier when it comes to hashing out issues. We've talked about this a little bit before on the podcast, but we haven't gotten your opinion. So
I got a strong opinion on this one, actually. I really do.
Let's hear it.
No, fuck team houses. Honestly, I'm not a fan of team houses at all. I think that like if you are doing well, like obviously everyone's happy and having a great time, but as soon as your team is struggling, tensions rise. Gamers don't know how to communicate at all properly. There's no like a lot of gamers don't know how to constructively talk to each other, so they'll just shut themselves in the room and not have conversations and just build up like this resentment, not a like animosity between each other. Not to mention the fact that like a lot of gamers have never really lived on their own, so things becomes a shit show. It gets messy. Like unless you have cleaners coming constantly taking care of the place, like some people are going to be like, oh, this guy doesn't take any responsibility for his stuff. Like it's a shit show. My favorite was, and I realized this when I've been in a couple team houses and it's never really worked out. Like it's just like it's something goes wrong. But team apartments were like you have like I had an apartment where I lived with my coach at the time, and then like I had 2 teammates live in the other side or whatever it was. And like right now I live with my wife and Hal and Jordan live together, and it's much more enjoyable. Like you get to kind of close yourself off from the games. Like you kind of get to be on your own. You guys can get together whenever you want to, but you aren't just like
you aren't forced to be around
you aren't
them.
forced to be around them and forced to be in the same place as them. And I know that's like probably way more expensive and whatever it is, but like it's been way healthier for any team I've been on than a team house for
Here's
sure.
a great question then. Because there are a unreal amount of benefits into being a team that like plays together in team house or team apartment, whatever the fuck, I don't care, versus just being online. There
Yes.
is a ridiculous advantage to it. So that being said, even though you don't like team houses, do you still think it's better to have a team house and rather not have one for a team? Or have you crossed that out of your bad experiences? Because I personally, very few experiences the only one experience I have, which is FlyQuest. Uh, I still believe you're right. You're 100% right in everything you said. But I still think it's better to have a team house rather than not have one and run into those issues because one, those people that run into those problems and are not used to the real world or knowing how to communicate, they run into those problems and they grow as individuals or they grow as people, which is healthy, one. And then two, there are so many things in game that happen that are it's just so beneficial to be in person for. And I just think the positives outweigh the negatives. However, like you're right, it can spin south crazy quick.
Well, you just need infrastructure, right? I don't know about the team houses you've been in Snipedown, but we could talk about like League of Legends, for example. All of those houses, or however the situation, it's highly oversaw by management, by the organization, right? They have people in place. Somebody robbing him? Someone's at his door?
No, I'm not used to this. I'm pretty sure it's pouring right now in Vegas, and that never happens.
I can attest to that. I did used to live in Vegas,
So
too.
I was like, what is this noise? We're good. Sorry.
But yeah, I think it comes down to the infrastructure and the level of the team house. I think the best way to do it is team facilities, where everybody lives in their own area, whether it is an apartment or your own house, and then you get together for your practice period at the facility with your coaches, do all your stuff there, and then you get to go to your space, right, with your wife or whoever. I think that's the best scenario. But that costs a lot of money for orgs. A lot of money.
Yeah, it does. I was about to say like that. Then it just comes to like, is it financially possible for that to work out?
Yeah, it's basically a franchised only situation. Overwatch
Yeah,
League, LCS stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was with Envy at the time. Like they were in, like they moved to. I was in Charlotte at the time, and they were like it was the beginning of Overwatch, and then they ended up becoming like a Dallas-based company. And so now they have like entire floors of an apartment complex that they like worked out a deal with to where they have, like all their teams from multiple different Call of Duty. They have Overwatch. They have like multiple players from different teams. And I think that's amazing when that works out. Like the organization can then have all their content team located there. They can just keep constantly pumping out, content with these players who are on site. And I mean, that's best case, but I mean, that's millions and millions of dollars in funding and endorsements and all that.
Yeah, it's not something you're going to find in Apex
realistic.
yet.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like that really is like franchise only type of stuff.
I do have a question for you. In your team housing experiences that were bad and your team housing experiences that were good, or team experiences that were mediocre, how often did you have team house manager? They're living in the house or someone regularly coming by the house every day? And how often did your coach, if you had one, live in the house?
I mean, my
or
first
be
team
at the
house
house
was,
every day.
My first team house was 2009. I was a senior in high school. I was when I was with Straight Rippin', and we were just degenerates. Like we had no structure. We just wanted to like party and like just it didn't help our like practice or anything like that. Like we were just kids. We were young. Like it wasn't, like I said, gaming wasn't what it is today to where like you can make all X amount of money. We were just all kids who were really good at video games, going to tournaments, like wanting to have a good time and then throw a big party after we won. Something like that. Like it was completely different. And then the one that was most recent was when I was on Evil Geniuses, and it wasn't even really like a full team house. Like we had 2 teammates there, and then the coach lived there. And he was also like he was also the manager basically of our team specifically. And then the 2 other members I had lived an hour away. Like they had like their own houses like an hour away. And it was just like it just animosity just built up. Like it didn't end up being healthy for us as a team. And then like they would stop coming to visit the house because like we would stop doing as well as we were. And it just like I would start locking myself in the room, and then like something I heard about someone talking shit about me behind my back, and so like I would bring that up to their face because I would just, that's who I am. Like I just will call them out on it, and then like the responses I got were not what I was hoping to get in return, and so like that just created more animosity. And I was like, I just want to be out of this house, and I couldn't. Like I was just like stuck there, and then eventually like ended up moving. I ended up joining Envy and moving into the Charlotte apartments. And that was just so much like healthier, just because I was able to separate myself from the team and my personal life, which I wasn't able to do. I was like, what am I gonna do? Lock myself in my room and be miserable at my team house? Like it's just I don't know. That's why I don't like team houses as much, just because of that. You can't just distance yourself.
Yeah, I get that.
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Gotta find ways to like get it out outside the house, which is kind of hard when you game 18 hours a day for a living or whatever it may be.
Well, not to mention the fact that the team house was in like Bloomington, Illinois, in the middle of nowhere. This place, it was like there was nothing around us, and so it's not like I could like
Why
I like
was
to go
that
out
the
and do things.
location?
I don't know. I
probably
truly,
price.
I
I'd imagine you
truly
could get a
don't know.
really nice size house with a pool, yada yada yada, in fucking random Johnson buttfuck nowhere.
Yeah, no pool. Like it was not.
I mean, like for example, I used to live in a nicer part of Austin, and my rent for like 300 more square feet than where I live now in a not as nice part of Austin was like thousands of dollars more. And I mean, I don't need to explain that to you guys. You guys understand that. Maybe some viewers don't. It's like living in the middle of nowhere, you can get much nicer for much cheaper, right? So maybe the logic was there. Maybe they didn't have the budget to do something they wanted to do in like downtown, or I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I got a good question here. Kind of relates sort of what we're talking about, just balancing life in general. As a married man, how hard is it to balance your gaming career and your marriage?
It's challenging at times, but I think because I'm older now, I was able to learn how to time manage and balance better throughout my days, because like I missed out on so much stuff when I was younger, whether it was like social activities or like I missed my high school graduation, which honestly I don't care. I missed that. I went and won a tournament. I don't care. But I in college, like I didn't learn how to time manage as well. And now, I mean, I talk with her and I set times and I try and have things planned out on when I have to stream. I try and be semi-consistent. And she has her own schedule as well. And we try and just be like, okay, we'll have at least like 2 or 3 hours in the morning to hang out together, and then I'll stream for 8 hours, and then at the end of the night we'll hang out for an hour or two before we go to bed. And we usually decide earlier on in the week like what day I'm going to take off from streaming. That way we can plan out some activities. And luckily for us, like I don't live in the middle of nowhere to where we actually can set activities. Like Vegas has been amazing, I think, for that, just because whenever we do want to go do something, we have options all over the place. You know, we have like beautiful hikes that we can go on. We have we can go downtown. We can visit different restaurants every single time we go out, and really enjoy that time together and the scenery around us. And I think that's helped out a lot. And now that the shows are opening, I'm excited to see some of those. Maybe see some Cirque du Soleil or something.
God,
Nice.
you're fucking old. All right, I got two. I'm kidding. What is Cirque du Soleil?
You not like Cirque du Soleil, man?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I've heard that like so many times growing up.
It's not an old thing.
No, that's not an old thing. It's just like I don't want to
How
call
do I
it
spell
a
it?
carnival show, but like it's like a really high end talented, and there's a bunch of different ones of like acrobatic shows.
Yeah, acrobatics.
It's a bunch of acrobatics. There's like a bunch of people who do like flying tricks with
I'm looking
people.
at it.
It's cool. It's cool. There's like water dancing type of stuff. Like it depends on which one you're going to. Some of it's really artsy. And my wife did go to New York Film Academy. She's been in the arts basically her whole life.
Oh, that's
so
straight up her alley then, probably.
Yeah, she'll love this kind of stuff.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Good.
No,
for
you would enjoy it for sure.
All right, that's a bold statement. All right, I got two questions. I think they're good ones. How do you think you changed as a player and a person? Nah, fuck the person part. How do you think you changed as a player from Sweet and Drop to Howlin' Raps? As a person, you just probably became more of an asshole. Like Sweet's passive aggressive, and Hal's like fuck you. So.
Yeah, dude, Sweet's passive aggressiveness. Oh my gosh, he tweaked the shit out of me at times.
Yeah.
I would say something, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good call, Eric." And I just feel like, you son of a bitch. Like I hate.
Just want to like.
I hated it. I hated it, but like I tell Sweet this because he lives in Vegas too, and it's funny because like we hang out and we'll go out and get drinks or whatever it is together. And I'm be like, dude, you are such a prick at times. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, the thing that's funny is the fact that he has gotten so much better from when I teamed with him, when he never played the game and he would only show up for tournaments, to then him grinding ranked and all this other stuff. And he's just improved like tenfold as a player. And it would have made his calls that much more like good because we would have been able to capitalize on the plays we were making. And he just didn't have the individual skill back then when we teamed. I think because of that, I started to want to make more calls and make more plays because I was like, I'm confident in what I can do, and he's not taking advantage of that because I don't think he's confident in what he can do in a sense. Whereas like I think I grew in after I left that, realizing that even if he's making like, I just need to just trust the call. Like I can't be questioning the call in the middle of it happening and that kind of stuff. And I think with Hal, like I think I had more respect for Hal right away in a sense than what I did when I first joined up with Sweet and them. And I think that helped in a sense of like me just wanting to come in and just fill my part instead of like wanting to kind of like be a part of a takeover or whatever it was when I was with Rogue and Sweet or whatever. But I think I matured as like a BR teammate and realized how important it is to just really just go with what someone's calling and then just kind of be a voice on the side and kind of help like make this, like not make decisions, but help him think more clear on things that can be done. But I have so much respect for Sweet. I told Hal I honestly think Sweet is the best IGL at the moment just because of how consistent that energy's been. And besides the finals, I mean, they've proven that, you know, they were the best team going into the finals.
Yeah, I thought finals was already written. I thought it was won by energy, and then who's going to do well after that? That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was like, I actually had a feeling that they weren't going to do well in the finals. I don't know what it was, and I do know exactly what it was. It was the cocky tweets, the cocky attitude, and all of that going into finals. I was like, dude, I've never seen you are setting
I've never
yourself
seen someone
up
do that and then
for
do
failure. No, ever. You are setting yourself up for failure. And Design and Sweet were both on talking shit about it, and I was like, both these teams are gonna flop.
Do you think they put too much pressure on themselves?
Like the Hot Wings, like look at us. Who would have thought it's us? And it's both of them. That's too funny, bro.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I knew it, dude.
Do you guys think they put too much pressure on themselves doing that, or just what about it? What makes someone not perform when they get cocky?
It's just bad luck. It is. Maybe they put too much pressure on themselves because NRG's used to coming out and getting big games quick, and then all of a sudden teams are on match point, and it's like, oh wow, we got to play catch up, and then you're like, how do we play catch up properly? And then same with G2, and like, it was just. I also think them getting gifted all those zones. Both G2 and Sweet Team were getting gifted zones all throughout the way up to the finals, and they were just used to just having easy games in a sense. Like they just play games out simply with getting to a spot, holding a spot, and then third-partying teams that are trying to get in next to them. And the finals was very mixed zones, and they did not get very good zones in a sense. And I mean, I'm pretty sure on Reddit someone came out with a chart of teams that do well. Yeah, you showed me this actually.
It's me and
it was literally like it showed the teams that do well when zones aren't near them, and it was literally us and C9, and I think KNG might actually have been on there as well.
I could go find it. Give me 1 second.
It was a really cool list. It's probably just check our Discord messages.
Yeah, it's right there, bro. It's right there,
and
bro.
it showed G2 and C9 as like the two worst teams in placements and points when zones are not in like a relatively close vicinity of them.
So you can bring that up.
Yeah.
For and you can like scroll down a little bit. I guess you could take snippets of that and like throw it in there if you want to edit that in. You can see like negative influence over distance. Like G2 and RG are very, very up there, right? Scroll down, like all right, over distance, you got like the COG, Obey, Renegades. I don't think Obey is Obey anymore. I don't know though.
I don't even know, yeah.
And then you have like the teams that are like they do good when they have to go far away. And then it's us, TSM, Ghost, and Xset is who it was. Okay. It was not King Garden. It was Xset, Ghost, us, and TSM. And that just made us and me and Snipe laugh so hard. We were on stream when I first saw this, man, and you can see the graphs right below that statistic. You can see the graphs of distance and performance with C9 and distance and performance with TSM. And you can scroll up and see the graphs of those other teams, bro. And it's just like, oh my god, bro. Oh, it's so validated.
It's
so
cool.
100% them getting all those gifted zones, whether it helped them or not, it sure as fuck
it helped us
them in the championship, because You could say maybe they didn't know how to play the other zones. Maybe they weren't comfortable. You could say a million things. But regardless, like, it helped. And I was so happy.
Yeah, I remember saying, I was like, if they don't get zones close to them, they're going to struggle because they haven't had to play across the map yet.
Okay, and then one really quick one just to finish that one question off. Okay, what do you think you've grown the most as a player from Sweet and Dropped to Hallam Reps? For me, I'm just gonna like give you a template, I guess, because I'm looking for like a specific answer, I guess. When I was on like Team Fire a long time ago, you may remember this or know this. I was like very dog shit, but I had a lot of potential to grow. But I couldn't do that because my teammates that I was playing with were god fucking awful. I mean, like horrible players, right? And I got that lucky chance of FlyQuest, and I grew so much on FlyQuest. Like beginning FlyQuest to end FlyQuest, completely different people. Mechanically, the way I thought, the way I shot my gun, the characters I could play, my understanding of how to IGL, so many things just changed completely. Is there anything like that changed between you going from Sweet and Drop to Hallam Reps, especially maybe because Sweet was not as confident or good of a player as he is now, mainly when you played with him?
I think, I mean, the biggest thing that I feel like I've grown from is just like taking, like, honestly, zone knowledge. I feel like I took so much of that from Sweet, and I was so focused on a one-dimensional type of gameplay with them, and then I took what I learned from Sweet as an IGL, and then I took that into what I learned with like Hal and Jordan and how they play, and I feel like I don't know, my playstyle has always been pretty one-dimensional when it comes to Apex. Like, it hasn't really changed much from the beginning to what it is now. Like, I'm there as firepower, and I get that, and I think that like now I'm more confident. When I was with Sweet and Dropped, I wasn't confident because I hadn't played BRs. So I was just kind of letting them make the calls, letting them do like tell me what to do and all that stuff. And I think after I stopped teaming with them, I was like, now's my chance to really showcase how much I've learned from playing BRs. And even in the tournament yesterday, like just the E series or whatever, like I noticed a situation where the team above us went to go loot boxes, and I was like, they just messed up. We need to go now. And like my team was just like, okay, let's go. And we pushed up, took the fight, and ended up winning the last game because of it. And it's like in the past, I would have been too scared to make that call because I would have just been like, oh, my IGL has to do it. And I think just having that type of confidence and understanding how the games need to play out more and understanding like what we need to do to get to the spot to win the game is something I definitely took from the switch up.
Yeah, there's a massive difference between players that understand it and keep their mouth shut versus players that have no idea and just listen. There's a massive difference. And
yeah.
I think there's a lot. We make a lot of jokes. You've heard the jokes that like controller players are fucking stupid, right? And then we also make a lot of jokes that Snipedown is the only smart controller player. We also make that joke a lot. Like there is no controller player that is smart. Fuck design. Fuck naughty, bro. All of them are stupid, but Snipe. Like Snipe is the only one with a brain.
Except Hal gives me a lot of shit for my positioning at times when
that's just because Hal is like
I'll put myself in the open.
Hal is just like a different level. I mean, yesterday in Series E, I like 211'd you with an R3 and caught you in the open. In the low ground. I mean, it's gonna happen, bro. And what? You live and you learn. All right, next question. I really like this question. I'm not gonna answer this. I'll give like a small segment. I guess I'll go first because mine doesn't fucking matter. Do you think MNK and controller are equal at the moment? And currently, I believe no, but I think it's like 51-49. I think it's so close. And the only reason I say no though is because I think the average controller player is much better right now than the average MNK player, especially for NA. And I think a lot of it has to deal with work ethic. I think a lot of it has to deal with work ethic and not necessarily the fact that it is a controller with aim assist or whatever. I understand that a lot of fights are close range, yada yada. I do get all that, but I believe a lot of it has to deal with work ethic. I'll let you go off on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much. I think it's about as even as it could be without
offside.
Like a nerf happening, let's say, to controllers and it starting to go like this, like because it would for sure. I think the top controller players would still be at the top, but I definitely think there'd be a large fall off on majority of controller players if they did change much. I think the work ethic thing does matter, but I also think that that's not an issue of controller players working that much harder than mouse and keyboard players, but mouse and keyboard players like having to work so much harder to master what they do in comparison to controller players. Because I always said, like, let's say like the controller ceiling is here, like this is it right here. Mouse and keyboard is like this. Like,
Yeah.
it is such a lower low, but such a higher high in terms of what you're capable of doing. And because controllers are so one dimensional, that I have, let's say, 10 things that I need to work on a master, while mouse and keyboard has 40. And at that point, mouse and keyboard does, like, if you put in the same effort as controller players, you're not going to get the same results because you have more to learn and you have more to master than a controller player does in a sense. So I think that in itself is kind of where controllers get a bad rep, is because mouse and keyboard players know that, and they know that they have so much more room for failure than controller players do. But overall, I mean, I think if controller players and mouse and keyboard players have to coexist in Apex. Like, it just has to be. It's not going to change. And I think, like,
I think it's in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it is in a good spot. And I don't think it really has much to do. I think what we talked about with console players coming to PC, like, it has to be the same. Like, they can't get their own advantages and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on it, and that's what I tell people. And
yeah, I mean, look at players like I guess Alb is a great example. Probably say Hal as well. You know, I think Alb is a little bit more mechanically skilled than Hal.
Yeah, he is for sure.
I think Alb is way better than any controller player could shoot right now, probably in the game. And that's just like that high of M&K being so freaking high, like you talked about. I mean, watch him or Lou or Nathan. You watch them do things that, like,
I mean, ACU at the beginning of the game, it was just these players that just stood out above the rest. And it's like,
it just didn't matter. It didn't matter. They were just they were there.
They're destroying you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think that's a perfect answer. I don't know. Anything you got? Anything you want to touch on? Maybe there's just one thing that we talked about you want to clarify, or I don't know, something to do with ALGS, something to do with TSM. I don't know. Got anything?
Not really, to be honest with you. I feel like we covered a lot of good topics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we went through a lot of the questions too.
I think we're good.
Yeah, it was a good episode. All right, boys. Hey, thank you again for coming on, Snipedown.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to see it.
Heck yeah.
How long does it take to come out?
I'll probably post it tomorrow.
Cool. All right.
All righty. Thanks, Zach. Thank you, guys. Thank everybody for watching. You guys are the best. We're out of here.
Peace.
Later.